Leonard Bernstein did this concert in the middle of 1969, which was quite a year. Think Woodstock or the Vietnam War, the Summer of Love, the height of the hippie movement. America was undergoing a huge transformation. So, when he takes us along on Berlioz's trip, it's not just a little jaunt to the next town. Bernstein was talking about drugs. Not that he was for them, you understand, but he knew that his 60s audience would relate to the idea of a symphony about an opium dream. Berlioz was writing about these kinds of things more than a century before. Now, Leonard Bernstein makes an enthusiastic tour guide so that you don't miss things like the mad oboe. Just watch him. Watch for the writhing of the evil snakes, too. Baby, I'm telling you, this is a wild ride.
Pretty spooky stuff. And it's spooky because those sounds you're hearing come from the first psychedelic symphony in history. The first musical description ever made of a trip, written 130 odd years before the Beatles, way back in 1830 by the brilliant French composer Hector Berlioz. That's Berlioz, the Z is pronounced. He called it Symphonie Fantastique, or Fantastic Symphony, and fantastic it is in every sense of the word, including psychedelic. And that's not just my own idea, it's a fact, because Berlioz himself tells us so. Just listen to these first two sentences of his own program note that he wrote describing the symphony. Quote, "A young musician of a morbidly sensitive nature and a feverish imagination poisons himself with opium in a fit of lovesick despair. The narcotic dose, too weak to cause death, plunges him into a heavy sleep accompanied by the strangest visions, during which his feelings, sensations, and memories are translated by his sick brain into musical thoughts and images." Unquote. Doesn't sound very different from modern days, does it? And we have every reason to suspect that the morbid young musician Berlioz is talking about is none other than Hector himself. He certainly did have fits of lovesick despair, we're told, and he was a creature of wild imagination, wild enough to have these visions and fantasies without taking a dose of anything. His opium was simply his genius, which could transform these grotesque fantasies into music. Now listen to the next sentence of that same program note. Quote, "Even the beloved one herself, the one who's made him lovesick, has become for him a melody, like a fixed idea which he hears everywhere, always returning." Unquote. A fixed idea, remember that. In French, idée fixe. In other words, an obsession. You all know what an obsession is. It's something that takes hold of your mind and won't let go. Well, in this symphony, the obsession is Berlioz's beloved, she who has made him so desperately lovesick. She haunts the symphony. Wherever the music goes, she keeps intruding, interrupting, returning in endless forms and shapes.